Sodom and Gomorrah were cities filled with wickedness. Their people were known for their sinful ways. The cities were infamous for their lack of hospitality and rampant immorality. God decided to destroy these cities because of their great evil. Lot, a righteous man, lived in Sodom. He was Abraham's nephew. Despite the city's corruption, Lot maintained his integrity. God chose to save Lot and his family from the impending doom. He sent 2 angels to warn Lot and guide him to safety. The angels told Lot to gather his family and leave immediately. They warned him not to look back. The destruction was imminent, and there was no time to waste. Lot had to trust in God's plan and follow the angels' instructions. The urgency of the situation was clear. The sky darkened with ominous clouds. The air was thick with the smell of sulfur. The ground trembled as the angels led Lot and his family out of the city. They had to move quickly to escape the divine wrath. Lot, his wife, and their 2 daughters hurried out of Sodom. The angels' warnings echoed in their minds. They knew they had to leave everything behind. The path ahead was uncertain, but they trusted in God's protection. As they fled, fear gripped their hearts. The sounds of destruction grew louder behind them. The sky was ablaze with fire and brimstone. They could hear the cries of those left behind. It was a harrowing experience, but they pressed on. Lot's wife struggled to keep up. Her heart was heavy with sorrow for the life they were leaving. Despite the angel's warning, she turned to look back at the burning city. In that moment, she was turned into a pillar of salt. Her disobedience cost her dearly. The loss of Lot's wife was a devastating blow. Lot and his daughters were heartbroken. They had to continue without her. The memory of her transformation haunted them as they made their way to safety. They could not afford to stop or mourn. Lot's wife was a tragic figure. Her disobedience led to her transformation into a pillar of salt. This act was a stark reminder of the consequences of not following God's commands. Her fate served as a warning to others. As Lot and his daughters continued their journey, they carried the weight of her loss. The image of her salt figure was etched in their minds. It was a constant reminder of the price of disobedience. They had to stay focused on their escape. The pillar of salt stood as a testament to God's power. It was a symbol of the destruction that befell Sodom and Gomorrah. Travelers who passed by would see it and remember the story of Lot's wife. Her fate became a part of the region's lore. Lot and his daughters grieved for her in silence. They had no time to stop and mourn properly. Their survival depended on their ability to keep moving. The memory of Lot's wife fueled their determination to follow God's commands without question. The angels directed Lot and his daughters to flee to the mountains. The path was steep and treacherous. They had to navigate through rocky terrain and dense forests. The journey was exhausting, but they had no choice but to press on. Fear of the destruction behind them propelled them forward. The mountains offered a refuge from the chaos. Lot and his daughters climbed higher and higher. The air grew thinner and the temperature dropped. They were far from the burning cities below. The ascent was grueling. Lot's daughters struggled to keep up with their father. They were physically and emotionally drained. The loss of their mother weighed heavily on them, but they knew they had to reach the safety of the mountains. As they climbed, they found moments of solace in each other's company. They shared stories and memories to keep their spirits up. The bond between Lot and his daughters grew stronger. They relied on each other for strength and comfort. Once they reached the mountains, Lot and his daughters found a cave to shelter in. The cave provided a sense of security. It was a stark contrast to the chaos they had escaped. They began to settle into their new life in the wilderness. The transition was challenging. They had to adapt to the harsh conditions of the mountains. Food and water were scarce. They relied on their resourcefulness to survive. Lot's daughters took on new roles, helping their father with daily tasks. Despite the hardships, there was a sense of peace. The mountains were a sanctuary from the destruction below. Lot and his daughters found solace in the quiet and solitude. They had escaped the wrath of God and were grateful for their survival. The days were long and filled with hard work. They hunted for food and gathered water from mountain streams. They made the cave as comfortable as possible. It became their home, a place where they could heal and rebuild their lives. As time passed, a new fear began to take hold. Lot's daughters were worried about their future. They were isolated in the mountains with no contact with the outside world. The fear of their family line ending weighed heavily on their minds. They remembered the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. They believed they were the last survivors. The thought of their lineage dying out was unbearable. They felt a deep sense of duty to preserve their family name. The isolation intensified their fears. They saw no other people, no signs of life beyond their cave. The mountains were vast and empty. The reality of their situation was stark. They were alone, with no hope of finding husbands to continue their line. The daughters discussed their fears with each other. They knew they had to take drastic measures. Their love for their father and their desire to preserve their family drove them to make a difficult decision. It was a decision born out of desperation and fear. Lot's daughters devised a plan to ensure their family's survival. They decided to get their father drunk and sleep with him. It was a desperate and morally complex decision. They believed it was the only way to preserve their lineage. The elder daughter took the lead. She convinced her younger sister that their plan was necessary. They knew their actions would be frowned upon, but their fear of extinction outweighed their concerns. They were determined to go through with their plan. They prepared a feast and offered their father wine. Lot, unaware of their intentions, drank heavily. The daughters waited until he was in a deep sleep. Their hearts were heavy with the gravity of what they were about to do. The elder daughter went first. She lay with her father while he was unconscious. Her actions were driven by a sense of duty and desperation. She believed she was doing what was necessary to save their family. The next night, the younger daughter followed suit. The elder daughter waited until her father was deeply asleep. She approached him with a mixture of fear and determination. Her heart pounded as she lay beside him. She knew the consequences but felt she had no choice. The night was long and filled with turmoil. She wrestled with her emotions. As dawn approached, she slipped away from her father's side. She returned to her sister, who was waiting anxiously. The elder daughter shared what had happened. They both knew their plan was not yet complete. They had to go through with it again. The second night, younger daughter's actions. The second night was the younger daughter's turn. She too prepared herself for the task ahead. She watched her father drink the wine, waiting for him to fall into a deep sleep. Her heart was heavy with the burden of their plan. As the night wore on, she approached her father. She lay beside him, echoing her sister's actions from the night before. The weight of their decision pressed down on her. She knew the implications, but her fear of their lineage ending drove her on. The night was filled with the same turmoil and guilt. She thought of their life before the destruction. She thought of the future they were trying to secure. These thoughts gave her the strength to continue. She knew their actions were born out of desperation. As dawn broke, she slipped away from her father's side. She returned to her sister, who welcomed her with open arms. They had completed their plan. The sisters comforted each other, knowing they had done what they believed was necessary. The daughters' actions led to significant consequences. Both became pregnant by their father. The elder daughter bore a son named Moab. The younger daughter bore a son named Ben-Ami. These sons would become the ancestors of the Moabites and Ammonites. Their actions ensured the continuation of their family line. The Moabites and Ammonites would play significant roles in the region's history. The daughters' desperate plan had far-reaching effects. Their decision, born out of fear, shaped the future. Lot was unaware of his daughter's actions. He raised his grandsons, believing them to be his sons. The family dynamics were complex. The daughters carried the secret of their actions. They lived with the consequences of their desperate decision. The daughters' actions were driven by love and fear. They believed they had no other choice. Their story is a testament to the lengths they went to preserve their family. It is a story of desperation, sacrifice, and the complex nature of human decisions. The emotional turmoil of Lot's daughters was immense. They lived with the guilt and shame of their actions. The weight of their decision was a constant presence. They struggled with the moral implications of what they had done. Their love for their father and their desire to preserve their family drove them. They believed their actions were necessary, but the emotional burden was heavy. They sought solace in each other, finding comfort in their shared experience. The daughter's relationship with their father was complex. They loved and respected him. They also carried the secret of their actions. This secret created a barrier, a silent understanding of the sacrifices they had made. The daughters found strength in their bond. They supported each other through the emotional challenges. Their story is one of resilience and the complexities of human emotions. They navigated their guilt and shame together, finding solace in their shared experience. The story of Lot's daughters raises significant moral questions. Their actions were driven by fear and desperation. They believed they had no other choice. But the moral implications of their decision are complex and thought-provoking. Their story highlights the lengths people will go to preserve their family. It raises questions about morality, duty, and desperation. The daughters' actions were a last resort. They believed they were ensuring their family's survival. The story also serves as a reminder of the consequences of sin. Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction was a result of their wickedness. Lot's daughters' actions were a response to the aftermath. The story is a testament to the complex nature of human decisions. The moral implications of the story are profound. It challenges readers to think about the nature of desperation and the lengths people will go to for their loved ones. It is a story that invites reflection and thoughtful consideration of human morality. If you found this video interesting, please share it and give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please come and join our family and subscribe to our channel. May God bless you in all your endeavors. Thank you for watching.